Hey everyone, I am your fellow bearded wench. Today I want to discuss something that I found out a couple of months ago, but I've been saving it for an odd occasion, and so this seems like the right occasion for me to share. The king has recently, in his wisdom, rightly or wrongly, I don't particularly see it being a wrong decision, some people might, he has allowed British male soldiers to have beards. Congratulations, as long as they're kept well groomed and under control, which is great, you know, for guys who want facial hair. That's fantastic. It takes me back to a time a good few years ago when I was serving in the British Army as a soldier, a female serving soldier. My squadron sergeant major, let's call him Tiptoe, it's pretty close to his real name, he approached me on 2 occasions for the same situation. It was a secluded area, I was on my own, he was on his own, and at the time I was really close to the end of my career, and I was over everything. Like, I was done. I was having panic attacks, I wasn't eating properly, I wasn't able to leave my room. They even put me on suicides watch at one point. I was seeing the district mental health nurse, who was also supporting me and on my side, because she agreed that a lot of the things that were going on were inappropriate, and it wasn't me, which I was made to feel like it was me, but it was the goings on that was actually happening on camp. But I'm not going to go into detail about all that stuff, just a bit of background information. So my squadron sergeant major, very clearly knowing that I was in a bad personal situation, I wasn't getting on well, I was struggling to do my job, I was struggling being in that environment, I was in Germany as well, he stopped me and he said to me, "Sig Willis, you need to do something about your facial hair." And I was confused, like, you know, I didn't realise it was an issue. I've been in the military for like 1.5 years at that point, going on 2 years, I think. Oh no, nearly, yeah, I'd say two years plus, and no one has ever mentioned it to me before. And so he said, you know, you need to sort that out. You can't have facial hair, Sig Willis. You need to use IMAC or do something about it. And at the time, I just brushed it off because I wasn't feeling great anyway. And then I just, you know, I didn't say anything. I wasn't allowed to anyway. It was a squadron sergeant major. And then a couple of weeks after that situation, the same thing happened again. I was on my own, he was on his own, in a secluded area with no one around, and he stopped me again. And this time he was a little bit more assertive, and he was like, "Sig Willis, you know, you really must do something about your facial hair. The men are not allowed to have facial hair, and nor are the women. You know, you need to get rid of it. Like, you need to either shave your face or use the hair removal, or even better, go and get electrolysis treatment." He said to me, he instructed me to go over to the med centre and speak to a medic about getting electrolysis treatment to remove my facial hair. Again, I was in a bad situation, a bad position, feeling low, having panic attacks, not feeling great at this time. He was aware of all this. And so the second time that this has happened, now I'm not happy. This is making me feel really negative. I feel like I'm being bullied. I feel like, you know, there's undertones going on somewhere for him, a gender issue, or I don't know what it was. It felt very sexist to me. So I did what he instructed. I walked over to that med centre and I went and spoke to a medic who happened to be female, who was on at that particular time. I explained to her what happened to me on the first occasion and also on the second occasion. Her face dropped. You could tell that she wasn't happy at all about what had happened to me. She said, he shouldn't have said that. I'm now going to call straight over to the welfare office because you need to go over to them and you need to seek support off them because this is bullying / harassment. She was like, you don't need electrolysis treatment. I don't know what he's talking about. It's not an issue. So I was like, okay. So I walks over to the welfare office, whom didn't give a damn about anybody unless you were, you know, a married couple with kids. If you were single, living in the single quarters like I was, they didn't take you seriously. They just thought that you were like everyone else, got wasted of a weekend, done your job to a bare minimum, and lived for the weekend and got bladdered and didn't care. So I didn't really get very far with them. However, I did do what I was instructed because she called over to them. And then I can't quite remember whether it was a couple of hours later or not that many days after, I can't remember, but I was instructed by a female sergeant who was really nice. She was very supportive actually, and I think she had grumbles with the whole environment too, but she didn't speak out. Or you weren't allowed to basically, and she had to escort me to the squadron sergeant major's office. I had to march in there. It was extremely official. So I'm marching in with Sergeant, I won't say her name, and she was next to me, and I had to stand to attention in front of his very large desk, which he was sitting behind, with this very large book which was open to a particular page. And so I'm standing to attention because I haven't been told not to. And then he said to me, Sig Willis, I have been informed that I need to have a word with you. I have looked through the Queen's regulations because it was the Queen at the time, and it stipulates nowhere in the rules that a female can't have facial hair. So I have to apologise to you because I owe you an apology. So I'm just standing there. Again, he knows exactly the woes I was having at the time. And just silent. And it's like, that'll be all. Thank you, Sig Willis. So I had to turn around to attention and march out of the office with the female sergeant. In my head, you can just imagine in my head, I was like, well, you know what? As a squadron sergeant major, you should know those regulations like the back of your hand. And if you aren't quite sure, fair enough, you know, there's a big book of rules. If you were unsure about those rules and regulations, the Queen's Regs, should you not, am I stupid in thinking this, by the way? Should you not, as a squadron sergeant major, if you have any thought in your head what you were about to say to, you know, a soldier under your command, if you thought that it might not be right or any inkling at all, would you not have looked at the Queen's regulations prior to speaking those words and saying those things? This is a man who'd been in service for many, many years. He'd worked his way up through the ranks. And knew, because I had openly said, that I was struggling with my mental health being in that environment. And he'd done it twice. And he thought that was okay. Now I'm just putting it out there because from that situation, it really bugged me, and I just thought, you know, how dare he do that and kind of get away with it. Like, I'm not sure he was disciplined for it or anything. But then I got my own back. Hence why I'm called the bearded wench. I'm owning it. So Squadron Sergeant Major, let's call you Tiptoe. Thank you very much for doing that, because you've actually gave me the empowerment to claim my facial hair and reclaim my facial hair, claim it as my own and feel empowered by it. And I didn't get rid of it. And I don't think I ever will, because it's part of who I am. It's part of my representation. I don't do it to annoy people. I don't do it to make a statement. It's just there on my face. And I really don't have the time to be messing around with it and taking it off for it to grow again. You know, I'm hairy. I just deal with it and accept it, and I wish everyone else would. So yeah, that's how I got my name. My alter ego, the bearded wench. So congratulations to all the men out there. And I guess for the women, if your squadron sergeant majors also thought that the regulations are there for you not to have facial hair, yeah. But congratulations, and I guess we're moving forward slightly for the men. Bit of an insight, girls. If you're serious about a career in the British Armed Forces, this is the kind of stuff that goes on. Rightly or wrongly, this is what you have to put up with. This is what you have to deal with. There's many more situations that happened to me within my military career, which was quite short because of them, and I will be writing memoirs for everyone to read, and I will inform you when they are complete, and if you would like to purchase a copy of them, just to give a little bit of an insight from my experience as a female servant soldier in the British Army. Hope you're okay. Have a nice evening. Speak to you soon. Bye.